This is Football Night in America, built by Lowe's.
Welcome to the Football Night in America podcast for Week 13. We are presented by Lowe's. I'm Maria Taylor, Matthew Berry, Mike Florio, Devin McCourty, Jason Garrett here with you yet again. And guys, we saw something we haven't seen in a very long time. The Steelers giving up 249 rushing yards to the Bills. First time that's happened at home since 1975. Also get the loss. Very distraught leadership in the post-game press conferences. Florio, what was your takeaway from what was said after the game?
Well, you know, the 1975 season worked out well for the Steelers in the end. They won the Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to work out the same way this year. And there was so much that was kind of raw and unexpected but expected. Like we were waiting for the moment where we'd start to see the cracks, the pressure that's been put on this team. And some of the stuff Aaron Rodgers said afterward, it doesn't surprise me, but it does. It's similar to some of the things Tua Tagovailoa said last month about his teammates, and he immediately apologized for it the next day. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be apologizing for it. And now that's going to become the story of the week. Guys are going to want to find out, reporters, everyone, hey, who are you talking about? What's your reaction to this? And you create a distraction as you're getting ready for what's going to be the biggest game down the stretch, going to Baltimore to face the Ravens.
Yeah, I think the key for them this week, it's Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin's going to have to do a job of getting these guys in there. It's going to start tomorrow. When you come in, you want to move on past this game. You want to learn from it, do the things you need to do, call out whoever you need to call out. But when you take that day off on Tuesday, I think the message would be when you leave this building Monday night, do whatever you got to do on Tuesday, because when we come back in here Wednesday, every game's a playoff game. We have to put the team first. We have to do all of those things, because if it's not Mike Tomlin getting these guys all together on Wednesday, this felt like a bunch of kind of comments from different guys, T.J. Watt and Aaron Rodgers, that could lead to the end of your season. I think Mike Tomlin has the ability to do that. He's been there for a long time. He's been on good football teams. He has to go tell this team, this is how we're going to get it done this week. No other things need to be said other than this. This is our message. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I'm all about in-house. You know, there's so much scrutiny in the NFL, and there's so much scrutiny in our society right now. So I really think you need to have great discipline after games. If you're the head coach, if you're one of these guys doing these interviews, talking about the game, and it can be an emotional time, and you can let your guard down and say some things. Initially, when we heard that, it really sounded bad. When we heard the rest of it in context, I wasn't bothered quite as much, but I still believe all those comments should be in-house. And now, what do you do now? That's the question. So I like the fact that they were bothered by it. I like the fact that these guys are elite competitors. I've been around some guys when they're losing 8 straight games. Oh, good, our energy is good. I'm like, it shouldn't be real good right now. When you lose, you should be pissed about it, and you should feel that, and there should spur a sense of urgency in everybody. I think they have that. I do think they have the right kind of guys there. I was shocked by this game, though. Buffalo doesn't have their starting tackle. You're going to Pittsburgh against that guy, Watt and Highsmith? I thought it was going to be 100-0 Pittsburgh. I thought it was going to be like Houston for Buffalo. And to rush for 249 in that environment, I was shocked by it. I bet on the Steelers. I bet on Mike Tomlin. You know, it's going to be a tremendous matchup next week against the Ravens, teams that know each other well. They're both kind of in the same place, so they're both feeling that sense of urgency. It's going to be a good game.
See, I don't think you should have been shocked, Coach. I mean, I think this is who the Steelers are. They've lost 5 of 7 games, and then you're just sort of like, well, right, but they started out so hot. Like, they beat the Colts. Give them that. That's a quality win. But other than that, who have they beaten? They barely beat the Jets in opening week. Like, they barely beat the Jets in opening week. They lost to Joe Flacco on 3 days. They barely beat the Patriots, despite the fact New England turned it over 5 times. Like, this isn't a great football team. Credit to Mike Tomlin, who's one of the all-time great coaches, that he's gotten them this far. Like, I just don't think whether it's injury. I mean, like, there's no one on offense that scares you. There's no one. I mean, like, DK Metcalf's a nice player. Jalen Warren's a nice player.
DK Metcalf doesn't scare you?
Not the way they're using him.
Not the way they use him.
DK Metcalf doesn't scare you? You break the huddle. That guy's a dominant player. You better double him. You better give him attention.
If you can get him the ball, like, he scares me if Mason Rudolph's under center. Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw deep anymore. That's DK Metcalf scares you if you get him one-on-one and he goes deep and he's going to win a 50-50 ball all the time. They don't throw him those. Arthur Smith runs a very protect Aaron Rodgers, let's run the ball and grind out a win if we can offense. And so, no, Coach, the way they use DK Metcalf this year, no, he does not scare me. Do I think he's got the physical talents to scare me? Of course. But I just, like, you mentioned it. They gave up 249 rushing yards at home. In a game, I think the most important thing is like, no one could pass. Like, it was incredibly windy there. So not only do you know, like, hey, their offensive line is banged up, the Bills' offensive line is banged up, but they're also not going to pass. The Bills' leading receiver was James Cook with 33 receiving yards, like dump-offs to their running back. And a run is coming, and they still couldn't stop it. Like, I think Mike Tomlin's done a great job to even have them, at 500. Because it's not a great team at the moment.
I agree with that. There's no doubt. Everything you said, I agree with, except the fact that I have a longer memory than maybe you do. I think number 90 is a hell of a player. I think the guy on the other side's I think Hayward's a hell of a player.
Yeah,
I think Jalen Ramsey's a hell of a player, and they've demonstrated that at different times. So I thought in this game, in this environment, like they did against Indianapolis, that this group was going to show up and get after it, understanding it's the last day of November, and we're going down the stretch here. Baltimore loses. That's the game that I anticipated seeing, and they didn't do that.
So why doesn't that happen? Why doesn't that happen?
I just want to clean that up real quick. To be clear, I do think they have special players on defense that's scary. There's no question about that. I'm not sitting here saying like no one cares about T.J. Watt or some of the guys they have on that side of the ball. I'm merely talking more offensively. But anyway, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
So I want to drill down to this. If they have all these great players and they know the stakes, what happened? Why didn't they show up?
It's one of the great questions. When you coach
That's
football,
not an answer.
No, when you coach football and play football, how do you get a team to play to their maximum week in and week out, regardless of what the circumstances are?
So is it Mike Tomlin's message? Is his message wearing thin?
It's a collective thing. It's everybody's responsibility. Does Mike Tomlin need to do a better job? Absolutely. Do the coaches? Yes. Do the players? Yes. Everybody's got to do a better job. And what bothers me in that game was such an opportunity for them, with Baltimore losing, to reestablish themselves as the leader in the division against a team that's coming to their place and they're banged up. And Buffalo, they're having the same conversations. They just had a tough loss against Houston. So they summon up. Their guys show up in this environment where they can't throw it. Josh Allen figures it out. James Cook gets going. So that's the beauty of the NFL. You have these two competing forces going at each other. I bet on this team, though, down the stretch. Will they win the division? I don't know. But they're gonna right the ship. There's too much history there with Mike Tomlin.
Let me just make one last point, because what you're saying makes sense. The problem is it's impossible from the outside to deconstruct it and figure out what's going on. I just want to add this. Aaron Rodgers has played for a lot of underachieving teams over his career. The Packers, while he was there, and it's easy to say, well, the Packers didn't give him enough help. He still was the quarterback, and they would sputter in the postseason. And I just see what this team is doing as we get deeper into the season, and I can't help but say this is the through line from the Packers team that only went to one Super Bowl, the Jets team that was abysmal. I know he was hurt the first year, but they were horrible last year, and this team that created expectations. They went all in like the Steelers have never gone all in before in the offseason. And it looks like they're not going to make the playoffs. And Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. He's the de facto leader. You praise Dak Prescott and what he brings from a leadership standpoint. I just think it's fair at some point to say, is Aaron Rodgers not leading his teams the way that maybe he could?
I do think we have to remember they're tied for first place in the division. So
yeah, but it's going this way.
But Baltimore's not going this way. Cincinnati's not really. Cincinnati's kind of going up with Joe Burrow coming back. So as bad as this is, that's my whole thing with this. Of when you play on a football team, it's sometimes easy to fall into, woe is me, we played poorly. Let's turn the page. We're going to play a Baltimore Ravens team that everybody was saying how great they look. You just talked about who Pittsburgh beat. Who did Baltimore beat on those runs?
Yeah.
The offense still doesn't look good. Lamar Jackson doesn't look 100%.
I agree with
so,
all
like,
that.
that's the thing that as bad as they've looked, again, I don't think this Pittsburgh team is a team that can come in and be good in the playoffs. But if you're talking about winning the division, they have as good of a chance of anybody in that division.
But now they're going to deal with all this crap from today.
No doubt.
That's going to add to the distraction.
Let me have one last thought on this thing. I made this talk as a head coach every Monday for 9 years. They write the history, the future history of the NFL every Monday. And so we do it on Sunday night, right? So Pittsburgh's done, right? Aaron Rodgers is a bum. TJ can't play. Tomlin, let's get rid of him. That's what we're going to do.
There's
you
the headline.
Said it right.
Aaron Rodgers is a bum, said Jason Garrett.
No, but you said it right. You reset. And I bet on these guys because they've reset so many times in their life, and they come back individually, they come back collectively, and they have challenges ahead. Are they a perfect team? No. I'm concerned about the identity they have on offense. But they're going to reset as a group. They're going to take accountability for it, and they're going to get ready for that next challenge. There's a lot of football to be played.
There's no question, Coach. My only comment to that is I don't disagree with you, Dev. I think the division is there for the taking, right? Again, you worry about the Bengals defense. Lamar doesn't look right with the Ravens. There's no question the Steelers could easily win this division. It's just like, okay, so they make the playoffs. Do we think this team, as currently constructed, can go far in the playoffs when we look around the rest of the AFC? And so you're like, okay, it's another year that the Steelers squeak into the playoffs, and maybe there's a first or second round exit. That's
well,
my
we got to
point.
remember the Patriots are the #1 seed. So
I knew we were getting there.
We can never forget.
Hey, look, listen, perfect time, Maria. Did you do that?
I did. I was like, let's get us out of here. It's like we went to Pittsburgh. Somehow we're letting whatever struggles they have seep into our team. Guys, we have great chemistry. I don't know if you saw the dance we did. We were all on one accord. Let's not let the Steelers divide us,
Thanks
okay?
for providing that perspective.
Yeah, or bring us back in. 5 games left in the regular season. Okay, we're still on top of the division standings. We're only going to talk about one other game here. We're going to get into the Panthers and the Rams because the Rams had to go southeast, and Stafford threw 2 interceptions in the first quarter. He had thrown 2 interceptions through the first 11 games. Just looked completely different, but the Panthers showed that they are a team that we have to be thinking about in the NFC South right now.
This is a hell of a win by Carolina. Think about they traveled cross country on a short week. They were in San Francisco for Monday Night Football, so they traveled cross country on a short week. They're missing 3 starters on defense, including J.C. Horn. Here come the Rams, as hot a team as there is in the NFL. And everyone, all the stuff we're saying about Pittsburgh here, Coach, everyone's saying that about Carolina. They're fraudulent. We don't believe in Bryce Young. He melted down on Monday Night Football. And yet, Bryce Young with a QBR of 85 on a scale of 100. 85 out of 100 comparatively. Stafford had a tough day at the office, a QBR of just 26. 3 turnovers for Matthew Stafford, reigned in the second half. But Bryce Young converts 2 fourth down. And by the way, look at this Panthers' upcoming schedule. So they're on a bye this week, right? They have one of the latest byes in the league. And then after that, they have the Saints, the Buccaneers, Seattle, that'll be a tough game, and the Buccaneers again. They've got their destiny in their hands. They're going to get 2 shots against Tampa Bay here. And I don't know that they're a complete team here, but you just talk about resiliency. That was a hell of a win by Carolina, Bryce Young, and Coach Canales.
They've got wild swings, though, and every time it looks like they're starting to figure it out, they step on a rake, like when they lost at home to the Saints 17-7. So you start to believe in them, and then, like, they have a Monday Night Football game national audience, and, like, did they bother to show up? Is this even the Panthers? Did somebody steal their uniforms, like the Mean Machine? Like, what's going on here? But it is impressive. They turned it around against the team that everyone has calling the best in the NFL.
I just want to solo on Jason the whole time.
And it seemed like, if you listen to what Mike Jackson said after the game, the corner, they allowed all the hype for Matthew Stafford and the Rams. They really used that as fuel. They were sick of hearing it. And whatever it takes, they figured out how to win that game. Having E.J. Evero there, who knows the Rams offense well, they took full advantage of that. So now let's see what happens. You rattled off some of the easy games they have. Let's see if they win those and not lose 17-7.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the first times this year that I can remember of like a West Coast team traveling to the East Coast, playing at 1 o'clock. Like, this used to be a very popular thing of when the West Coast team travels and they got to play 1 o'clock, how early it is. Now you don't hear as much. There's so much sports science in this. But it felt a little bit like the Rams never really kind of woke up in this game. They got off to a hot start, and then it was just like, well, guys, we are good. We did do it. We're done. And, again, credit to the Carolina Panthers. Had a game plan. They went out. They ran the ball. They were able to keep the Rams defense on, their heels the whole game. Hey, you think we're going to pass the ball on 3rd and 3? We hand it off. Like, all of those little things, when you're able to do that in the game, it makes it really hard. I think for the Rams, hey, we lost a game. It happens. We'll get back. We'll regroup. I think for the Panthers now, it's how do we go from being the team that, like you just said it when Michael Jackson said, all right, when everyone doubts us, we kind of rise. It's a little easier. How now do we go into games where maybe we're favored or a must-win against another good team? How do we see ourselves as that good team and come and execute a game plan to win?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts. I was laughing because leave it to Florio. I mean, this is one of the best wins they've had in years, and he spent 3 minutes just killing them. They step on a rake. I mean,
But they did.
I was like, not today, though.
But the point is, can we trust them?
He's maybe helping them out. They like to play with a little adversity.
he's giving them that.
Yeah, they're giving them the stat.
Mike Flores.
They're a young team with a young coach, and this is an impressive win.
Yeah.
And a team that they easily could have folded after last week, and they didn't, especially given the opponent.
Yeah, you've used the word team 15 times in the last 2 minutes, and that's what it was for me. It was a team win. Rams have been so good. They've been so hard to stop. The Rams get out early in the game. They throw Devontae a touchdown. You think they're going to run him right out of the stadium, but they hung in there. And the biggest thing for me, though, is they kept handing the ball off. Okay, Hubbard, whatever he had, Dowdle, whatever he had, I think they handed it to him 40 times in the game. They had 35 minutes of time of possession. Bryce Young threw it 20 times, but he made them count, and he made them count in the big moments. The fourth down throws were absolutely huge. So this is a team, after Monday night, could have gone away when this juggernaut comes into town, and they didn't, and all parts of their team contributed. So I thought it was a really good win for their team. Now we got to figure out what they do next, and it's all in front of them. Right. I don't think beating Tampa twice. I mean that's a real challenge. But they put themselves.
But they got a chance at the division.
They put themselves in a position to do that.
That's right.
35 carries between Dowdle and Hubbard on the game, 164 yards rushing. All right, guys, it's time to earn your Sunday, presented by Lowe's. And this is our speed round. I'm not going to make you say one word, but you can have like a short, very short explanation. This is bad game or a bad sign. The Lions, currently outside of the playoff picture, they're sitting at 8th in the NFC. Is that the bad sign?
I think it's a bad game. I just think I believe too much in that coaching staff and in the talent on both sides of the ball. They lose Amon-Ra St. Brown early in that game. Packers are a good team. And so on a short week, I think it's more of a bad game than a bad sign.
Bad sign. Dan Campbell, as the play caller, is not working. They're too predictable on fourth down. They're 0 for 7 in their last 2 losses on fourth down. Everybody knows they're going for it. Everybody's ready for it, and they're stopping it.
Yeah, it's a bad sign for me because of the rest of the division. You lose to a division opponent, then the Bears go and beat the Eagles. It's a bad sign because of where they're at right now when you think about the playoff picture.
I do think it's a bad game, but where they are, and not only their division, but all throughout the NFC. There's a lot of these teams that are over 500, and they're scratching and clawing, and the challenge is their head, and they play Dallas, who's playing awfully well right now. Dallas plays better at home than they do on the road, but this is a must-win for Detroit.
What about the Colts? They've lost 3 of their last 4 games after starting 7-1, a season-low 16 points against the Texans. Bad game or bad sign?
I think it's a bad sign. The fact, again, they've lost 3 of the 4. This is an important game against a division rival that was coming up on them in terms of the Texans, and they lose this one as well. They lose Sauce Gardner now for a couple of weeks. Daniel Jones clearly isn't 100% either. So I think it's just a bad sign. Here's their upcoming schedule, too, by the way. So they're at Jacksonville next week. That's an important game. Then they got to go to Seattle. Boy, that's going to be a tough one. They're home to San Francisco. The Niners are not going to be an easy out. Home to Jacksonville. Then they're at Houston. Can they win both games against Jacksonville? I'm not convinced. I mean, Jacksonville continues to be scrappy. So I think it's a bad sign, especially when you think of their upcoming schedule, which is going to be challenging.
I think it's a bad sign, and on top of that, they haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014, which is amazing because it's not like it's been the Patriots since 2014, except for the last few years after you left. But, the Jaguars have been bad more often than they've been good, so to not win there for 11 years, it's really kind of stunning. I think it's a bad sign, mainly because they need a healthy Daniel Jones.
Yeah, it's a bad sign for me. You want to start playing your best football. And I played on the New England Patriots in 2015. We started 10-0, and then we lost 4 of our last 6. We lost in the AFC Championship. Like, that was great getting there, but our season just felt like we were chasing it. And I'm worried a little bit for the Colts of you get off to that hot start, and now when you start losing games, you kind of feel like it's slipping away, and you're like, how do we fix this? And you start scrambling. So that for me is my biggest concern for them.
Yeah, it's a bad sign and it's a bad trend. They've lost 3 out of 4. And the biggest thing for me is Jonathan Taylor was so dominant. And now teams are coming in saying, we're not going to let him beat us. Now, Daniel Jones played well in this game, threw a couple touchdowns. He was efficient. He moved. He did some good things down in the red zone. But those monster games for Jonathan Taylor, I think he had 85 or so yards rushing. We haven't seen that 120, 150, 200-yard games here recently. And that's a huge part of it because it helps Daniel. It helps their passing game. It helps their defense. In order for them to get going, they got to get that running game back to where it was earlier in the year.
Yeah, 85 rushing yards, except for Jonathan Taylor. What about the Eagles, though, sitting at 8-4, 4-4 over the last 8 games, and obviously coming off that loss on Black Friday?
So I think it's a bad sign for a playoff run. I still think they make the playoffs. I still think they got a good shot at the division. But I'm concerned about the fact that one of the hallmarks of the Eagles, their physicality, they got out-muscled. Chicago went into Philadelphia and out-muscled them in this game here. And then, look, they're going to make a playoff run just because, listen, they're at the Chargers next week. They're beat up. We don't know about the status of Herbert. Then they're home to the Raiders. They're at Washington. They're at Buffalo. They're home to Washington. Only that game at Buffalo really scares you from an Eagles schedule perspective. So I think they make the playoffs. I think they got a good shot at winning the division. But I think it's a bad sign for their Super Bowl return run just because, again, they got out physicaled. Saquon hasn't looked like Saquon this entire year, and the passing game's been inconsistent.
And I think it's a bad sign. I don't care who they play. I don't think they can beat anybody right now. They've got to prove that they can do it. And I look at 2023 and 2024 because there was dysfunction both years. Last year, it all spun the right way. 2 years ago, they went from 10-1 to losing 5 out of 6 to losing 32-9 at Tampa Bay to start the playoffs. And it feels like it's starting down the 2023 path, and they better turn it around. And they got some deep issues that nobody really seems to know what they are, and nobody knows how to fix them, and they aren't going anywhere. And it's amazing they've won 8 games with these issues that are just kind of mysteriously percolating inside the organization.
That's the key, what you just said, that they've won 8 games. I want to jump on with you guys a bad sign, but I think it's a bad game because of this. I think it's now all out. Like, we try to do all these different things, but we've seen A.J. Brown. That's worked a little bit now. All right, how do we get Saquon Barkley? You said it last week. And I think as they go deeper into the regular season and into the playoffs, I think we will see Jalen Hurts get the ball about 10 to 12 times on either scrambles and design quarterback runs. I think they're waiting to get to that point where it's like, hey, it's all or nothing. I think that's coming up for this team. And I think what they're going through, I think it's going to start to piece together. They're going to do something. I think they're going to now, you lose 2 in a row, I think they're going to say, hey, let's just go win games. Like, forget making this guy happy, that guy happy. No, and I think that defense after Friday getting punched in the mouth the way they did, they're going to respond. So I do think this team will turn this around and actually show us what the Eagles team is that we kind of expected all season.
Yeah, bad sign, bad trend. I mean, they have not been good recently. The biggest concern is Ben Johnson said, we're going to run the ball right down your throat. And nobody does that. Nobody does that to that defense. They're so strong on the defensive line. They're just stout up there. We haven't seen a lot of that. And on the flip side, they've been dominant on the offensive line. But, they haven't been able to get the running game going really all year long. And so for as much skill as they have, playmakers outside, their team, the strength of the team is their offense and defensive lines, and we haven't really seen it. But again, I'm a little bit like you, this is the opportunity to respond. When you have a game like this where you're going to put that tape on, you're going to see these guys get knocked off the ball into the end zone. That guy from Rutgers celebrating in the end zone.
Kyle Minogue guy.
I mean, that gets you a little bit. And you're going to see what this team is made of. And I think they are made of the right stuff. And so we'll see. But if they can get that back, I do believe all the playmaking stuff outside will happen. But it's a byproduct of the physicality of their team.
Hey, you mentioned Ben Johnson. You ever take your shirt off after a win and shoot the crab?
You don't want me to take my shirt.
We don't want any of those problems.
Would you do that? They let you in the locker room?
I'd have to shave it first. So got a lot of shaving to do. Got a lot of waxing to do.
Information we did need.
My
bad.
Exactly.
That's
Right.
Just answering questions.
The podcast is over.
He might start doing some of those
That's what happens when Florio had like 9 hits in the show. He's a different person. He's salty. He's taking his shirt off. He's waxing. And too many things. We'll see you next week for our Football Night in America pod. We've got the Chiefs and the Texans. Look at you said at 7 Eastern with our show Football Night in America on NBC and Peacock.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.